Albert Einstein said the definition of insanity is repeating the same mistake over and over again and expecting different results. I'm guilty of this, and I like to stop. I had a look online and found there are two types of mistakes. The first being a mistake we can foresee. This type of mistake I have found that we can stop making by putting in a process. For example, let's say our mistake is that we forget to read our emails at work before we shut off for the day. To stop making this mistake, we can put in a process and set reminders for ourselves, whether they be sticky notes, notifications, alarms. Eventually, after a while, they will become second nature to us and we will start reading our emails out of habit. Eventually, this mistake won't be done as much, or if at all. The second type of mistake is something more complex, in my opinion. This is a mistake that we make in a circumstance that is irregular, or something that we do not encounter at a certain point in time, or a certain situation. Let's say, for example, our mistake is that we forget to stop and think about a decision we need to make. Oh, that we stop, we don't stop and think before we speak. And we stumble over our words, as I have just done now. This mistake, I too believe that we need to do automatically and think of and stop before we make the mistake. However, we can't put a process in place as we did for the first type of mistake because it's irregular. We cannot put an alarm in front of. We cannot use an alarm system if we need to pause and think before we speak. This needs to be done in a different way. Repetition. We need to start actively fixing this mistake. That's one way we can fix it. Another way, we could put a reward system in place that if we don't do the mistake for a certain parameter we set for ourselves, we get a reward. A motivational system. Thinking about what will happen if we stop making this mistake, or if we continue to make this mistake, what will happen? And this is something that we need to think of for ourselves to do. This second mistake, one that we cannot foresee and put a process in place to prevent, we need to stop making this mistake in our own ways. And I believe no one can get that answer for you. You need to think and find it for yourself. For me, I believe that's something good. It's growth that we can see in our life. And it's something that we can work towards. while the mistake may be extremely easy for one person to avoid, it may be difficult for someone else. The mistake may have high consequences, low consequences. It may need to be fixed right away. It may need to be fixed over time. But this type of mistake, it needs a lot more thought put into it. For each individual is different, and each way that we prevent ourselves from making this type of mistake is different. One way may work for one, and it may not work for another. So we need to think individually of how we can fix our mistakes. We need to learn from each other. And to do so, I'd suggest sharing your ways of preventing your mistakes to help each other out. Personally, for me, a reward system or a tracking process works great for me because I can track my progress, and that keeps it at mind, top of mind. I know this has been a shorter or a more focused podcast today, but I haven't made one in a while, and I can see myself not communicating as well as I'd like. I've had to create this podcast a few times now, but sometimes we need to have a break or are forced not to do something due to lack of time. However, I've remembered I need to pause to think about what I need to say. I've stopped myself from making the mistake of talking without pausing, not thinking about what I'm going to say, and stumbling over my words as much as I used to. I thank you for listening, and I'm really appreciative of you listening if you have done so this far, and I really appreciate if you support me. I really appreciate what's happening in my life to grow as a person. While mistakes happen and I can see them, they're mistakes, we can fix them. It's good to have mistakes because it means that we've got places to grow and we can see what we need to improve on. Mistakes are good. However, if we hold on to them too long and repeat them too many times, or if we do not learn from other people's mistakes, that is where the problem occurs. We just need to grow. And with that, I thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.